Hi, this is James, Comic Book Shifu. It's another week, another stop on my LCS, buymetoys.com in beautiful Mishawaka, Indiana. I'm going to be sharing my pulls in this video, in addition to a grab bag of comic books that I've acquired throughout the month. So let's go ahead and get to it. Because of the weather, and I imagine this is something that most of the country had to deal with, my LCS had not received all of their comic books for the shelf when I went in on New Comic Book Day this week. They did have books from the Big Two and a big purchase. This was something that I ordered a number of months ago, and we'll get to that. First up, this is the standalone issue of Ghost Machine by a variety of artists through Image. And one thing that I have to give accolades to my LCS is that they go out of their way to provide the experience that comic book collectors want in getting a variety of different really cool comic book cover art. In this case, they got a store variant. This is someone that they've used. They've gone to multiple times, Rodolfo Migliari. And so here is the Buy Me Toys variant cover. Very cool. They have a number of other books they've gotten from him. I'll probably pull those out of my short boxes and share those in another video. Another book I've been waiting for is a Star Wars book by Marvel. This is Thrawn Alliances. This is one of the variant covers. I think this is cover C. Yeah, cover C. And another book by DC. This is Penguin number 6. Highly recommend Penguin. Tom King has been knocking it out of the park. It's been a great kind of organized crime yarn, very similar to like Goodfellas or Godfather, etc., etc., etc. So art's on point. Tom King, I think, really excels with more eclectic stories like this. Definitely recommend that. And this one right here, and I'm going to come back to this a couple times. Not this particular book, but one thing I've noticed is lately I have been acquiring books that have some nostalgia value to me. That's kind of where my passion's leading towards. And so I picked up this Omni. This is the ROM Marvel Years volume number 1. This is the A cover I went with. The reprint of cover A, and I think this was Frank Miller art on it. Anyway, ROM, I remember when I was a kid, the commercials, and I've seen the toys since then, and it's kind of awkward, but back in the day when I was a wee lad, that was an awesome looking toy. One of the first comic books I remember reading, and I would put reading in air quotes, was an issue of ROM. I remember, this was early 80s, maybe it was late 70s. My dad put a copy of a ROM comic book in my hands, and I remember going through that over and over and over again. I don't remember a lot about the actual story, except the rates, and then ROM with his blaster. So this has motivated me to do two things. One, I have been working on that Marvel run, and I'm down to just a handful of books. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's about a dozen or so books. Number two, when it came out that Marvel was given the rights by Hasbro to reprint their original work, I had to pick it up. So it looks like there's going to be 3 volumes in this. And I don't know, I find that collecting Omnis and reading Omnis has an attraction, especially when you can just get the whole story in one book instead of having to pull them out of a long or a short box, finding them in your collection. Anyway, the next pile of books are all from Half Price Books. My wife and I went out. She was going to a craft store nearby, which gave me a chance to go to Half Price Books and see what they had put in their short boxes and long boxes. I try to hit there at least once a month, just to give their stock some time to freshen up, if you will. And what I had decided, and it's really two titles here. The first one is this is Batman Beyond. This is the Rebirth. I think this is volume 6. I decided that this was something I wanted to get into, reading these issues and collecting these issues after reading Batman Beyond Neo Gothic and Batman Beyond Neo City, since they're all a part of that continuity. And I'd noticed that they were getting runs of this book. I know there's some keys in that with the first appearance of Batwoman Beyond. So I'm looking forward to kind of acquiring these and reading them as I do that. The last one, and this is connected to my collector goal this year. Shout out to Reggie Collects. Reggie over in his YouTube channel had talked about many weeks ago about setting a collector goal for yourself to give you some target and putting it down on writing. And I'm still working on getting it on writing. I'm still kind of revising what my target is, but I'll be doing that, I think within the next week or so, definitely before the end of the month. Anyway, this is Batman issue number 570. Now, my goal is going to be connected to finishing my volume 1 run. I'm going from issue 300 to the end of volume 1. And that'll mean I'll have 300 all the way up to the current issue of Batman. And from that point, at some point next year, the year after, I'll begin climbing backwards. I already have this issue. But what I really kind of got jazzed about was this was $1.50, half price books, right? This is the second appearance in continuity of Harley Quinn, and this is a really nice copy of this book. There's a couple there's a little ding up here. The corners aren't quite as sharp, but there isn't any creases. There's no spine ticks. So for $1.50, I got a book that's a key and worth a little bit more. Let's see. Next up, we have some mail calls. Now, some of these mail calls, all of these are things I've picked up this month. Some of them I ordered, and then some were actually a gift from my son. So we'll get to that. First up, I love it when an online seller, and these are all eBay purchases. I've had nothing but good fortune purchasing books on eBay over the last dozen or so years. And this is not unusual. They oftentimes, whoever the seller is, will throw in a book. Just has nothing to do with your order. This was one of them. These are actually the 5 books I'm going to share is coming from 3 different sellers. Don't remember which one this is, but this is Legends of Camelot by Caliber Comics. Not what I ordered. The inside, it's all black and white. It's kind of interesting. I glanced at it. This will be something I'll probably throw in my Halloween box. I try to, if the weather permits, have a short box of comic books that I want to give out to the kiddies. I think this will probably be more than appropriate for that. The rest of them, though, are the last IDW arc of G.I. Joe. Okay, this, going back to ROM, is another nostalgia buy. Okay, when Skybound got the IP for G.I. Joe, it intrigued me. The cover was a deep dive back into my youth. I remember playing with the action figures back in the 80s. The cartoon was the bomb. And so I picked up issue number 301. And then when I read it, I wasn't aware of it. It was a continuation of Hama's run at the end of his the IDW license of the IP. So I went online, and after checking my LCS, they didn't have any of these books. I went online, tried to find this particular arc, and I was able to luck out and get the arc that contributed, the story that contributed to issue 301. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep crawling back from that, but knowing the collector in me, I probably will. But it'll be something where I'm looking for them in the wild, I guess. I've noticed that a fair stock of G.I. Joe books shows up at half-price books. I'm going to check my LCS. And then there's a couple other places in the area, maybe some flea markets, things like that. Okay, last, this is a mail call from my son. This was a Christmas present he got me. Got it way back at the beginning of January. And I wanted to share it. Let's try to get them in a semblance of order. So in December, I think it was December, early December, he'd sent me a text, said, "Hey, what would you like for Christmas?" And I just said, "Hey, I'd like some comic books." He said he was at a comic book store. I sent him a couple screenshots of my CLZ, looking at Fantastic Four and then Volume 1 of Uncanny X-Men, just filler stuff. I wasn't expecting anything big, but he definitely swung for the fences on this one. He said there's some other comic books that he forgot to mail, and hopefully those will come up soon. I'm going to go backwards. So with this Fantastic Four, I'm looking at getting starting volume 1, going from issue 200 forward. I'm pretty solid 300 on. Issue 200 to 300, kind of sketchy. So he got some books in that. We start with issue number 247. Dr. Doom cover right there. Has a little goo right there. I'm going to try removing as I'm beginning to experiment with cleaning. But it's a cool looking cover. And then we have issue 235 with an Ego appearance. Issue 233. I already have this cover, but this is the direct. This is the newsstand. I have the direct. So, welcome edition. And then this is a book I don't have. This is Fantastic Four 176. This is supposed to have a Stan Lee and Steve Ditko cameo. And what blew my socks off was the last book. It actually came in a... I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. I'll probably remember right when the video's over. Top loader. There we go. So I'm going to remove it from the top loader. This is Fantastic Four. All the way back. I think it was... I need to double check. But this is definitely in the 60s. So Fantastic Four issue number 35. First appearance of this guy right here, Dragon Man. It's in really nice shape. I mean, considering the book is older than I am, there's some spine wear, some ticks. The corners are a little rounded. It could use for a clean and press, but I think this is definitely a book just for preservation's sake. I'm going to get clean and pressed, sent off to CBCS, and get it graded and encapsulated. So there you go. Anyway, that's all my books. If you liked what you saw here, please like, share, and subscribe down below. And please read more comics.